Hello, everybody. Thank you again for watching. Today, I'm going back to the book idea. So I've basically been figuring out ways to motivate myself in this pandemic, right? So one thing I wanted to try to make sure I get as far along as possible when I am in this is writing the book. I've been thinking about this book for a long time, and I've been working on it very slowly every day. But I thought, why not make every day a fifth day of my shows a day where I work on this book in live, and ask questions and stuff like that. So where I am with it is I'm getting a lot of people reaching out to me about, what are the opportunities right now in investing and creating your own ideas. And even my father this morning, he called me and he told me, look, I just looked at my annuity. I just lost $17,000 in my annuity. And that's his retirement plan because it's in the stock market. And he's been listening to a lot of people and a lot of different shows that talk about, how you should be taking your money out the stock market. And I've been telling him for years, he has a very good idea that he's been sitting on for a long time. And I'm like, that was your investment right there. If you would have spent that 17,000 on your idea, you may have made it happen by now, and it could have been making you money instead of, right now you're investing in other people's businesses and hoping they do the right thing. And in a pandemic, it's not their fault, but it's going to go down. So, and you hear a lot of rich people talking about taking money out the stock market because stock market is going to keep going down. So my dad, we've been having this conversation. So I'm helping him with his idea now, and he's going for it. And we've been working on other stuff, but his idea that I thought was good years ago now is definitely good. So part of what I've been thinking about, and I've been having conversations with a bunch of different people, is I want to create an online curriculum that allows people to make their idea possible. And this book will be the outline of it, and then it'll guide people into that environment, which is what a lot of books do. If you ever listen to any of these good books, it always leads back to some type of course and how they, coaching and all these different things, which is stuff I want to do. I just had to figure out how to do it. And that's what I'm going to start using every fifth show's hour on. So this week, I had a good conversation with a friend of mine about how to set this up. And after that conversation, I kept thinking about, okay, what could be my landing place of where I send people once they read the book. So I came up with two options. I want your advice on which one I should pick. myidea.academy or myideas.academy. I bought both domains so nobody could steal it. But the idea is I want to know, because some people may just say, no, focus on one idea. Some people may say, no, people are going to come up with more than one idea. So it's better that you don't limit them. So that's one question. If you watch this, please put in a comment anywhere, wherever you're watching this, if you like my idea better or my ideas better. Academy. So as for the book though, I've been thinking about it. I haven't been writing as much as I should, but here I'm going to share my screen. Here's where I'm at with the book, right? So again, this is I planned this like last night to be starting to to do this live on Instagram, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, eventually LinkedIn. They haven't accepted me yet, but so where I am with the book, I did 2 other episodes where I was going through all of this in the I use Evernote, by the way. Evernote is one of the greatest programs ever. Evernote. I've been using it since about 2007. Pretty much has my whole brain inside of it. Anytime I come up with an idea, I throw it in Evernote. It's accessible everywhere. Phone, computer, multiple computers. So I dump all my ideas in there. So I've been working on the book in Evernote just so whenever I need to jump into it, I can. So that's a good recommendation. I think you guys should check the Evernote out. So I've been going through the process. First, we start out with my story. Why am I credible enough to even talk about this topic? What happens when you have a big idea? How to start? So in the last episode, I was up to funding. No, yeah, funding, which I was in the business loan area, and I was talking about how business loans, can come from banks, but then they can come from venture capital firms. And so I was getting into that, and then the cooperative model. So with the whole my idea now the fact that it's been a week and I've been, having a bunch of conversations with a bunch of different people all around the world, and I'm trying to figure out how can I create not only the book, right? Because a book is not going to get you to the place where you make this idea happen. You're going to get the basics, but then you're going to need some hand holding. And I don't really have time to hand hold, hopefully, 1 million people. So I will create this area where people can be handheld through videos and then different people helping. So cooperative, right? Cooperatives I didn't really touch on it enough in the last video. A cooperative is what I believe is the way the future of business will have to work, or we will keep coming up on a situation like we are in now. So what a cooperative means is cooperative businesses are that everyone who is part of that business is a part owner. They have a say in how the business is run. They share in the profits, and that's a cool way to run a business if you can figure it out and make sure it makes sense for everybody. So I'm working with MIT and Bronx Cooperative Development Initiative, BCDI. They're changing the name, but to figure out how to create a curriculum around that too. So that's not ready, but it's being worked on. On the venture capital side, I am working with Village Capital. Village Capital is a very, very innovative venture capital firm, a global venture capital firm that they partner with us in on Metabronx, with Metabronx. So right now, where I'm at with the book after this week is, okay, how do I incorporate this my idea or my ideas, again, I need to vote, into the way this book is structured, right? So the way normally when you read a book, they plug their thing throughout the book, right? They don't just wait to the end, they plug it throughout. So right now, I'm looking at where are opportunities to plug this thing before it even exists, right? It doesn't exist right now, but I believe it's what I need to do. So it's going to, again, motivate me by writing the book to make that. And hopefully in a year, hopefully less, I have this place and this book out where people can make their ideas happen. I really believe right now is the best time probably you will ever have to create an idea. So I was hoping this would be out when this happened. I knew this would happen, just not as bad as it happened. So next time it happens, this book will definitely be out, and there'll be hopefully thousands of people that have been helped by it. Okay, so after we talk about cooperatives, which my idea now, okay, so where can I plug it? Okay, so big idea, how to know it's a good idea. Also, what this is helping me do is figure out my ideas academy. What are the courses, right? Because right now I'm talking about the big idea. How do you know if the idea is big enough? There's people that have made millions of dollars off a spinny top toy, so realistically anything can be a big idea. It's more about how do you feel about it, and are you willing to put in the work? That's what makes it a big idea. Are you willing to put in the work? The ridiculous amount of work is going to take to make this idea a reality. So I think what you got to think about is, am I willing to do whatever it takes to make this idea big? That's what makes it a big idea, right? So how do you start that process? This is where I say, okay, what if I told you can log in somewhere, you can put that idea somewhere, you can put all your ideas. See, it's making a case for ideas.academy. myideas.academy. You put all your ideas in and you just keep coming back to it and see where the ones that are standing out and which one is the main idea, making a case for my idea. All right, so already my vote is about 4-2 to ideas versus my idea. Myideas.academy versus my idea. 4 for my ideas, 2 for my idea. Okay, so maybe here's a good place to start it, right? Okay, the big idea. All right, so plug 1. Plug number 1 for my idea academy. All right, or my ideas. So what I'm thinking is, okay, so if we say my ideas academy, here's a place where you can log in, track, put your ideas in free. I know what people immediately are going to think. I don't want to put my ideas. I know people that don't even want to put their ideas in Evernote because they're worried people are going to steal them. So I'm here to tell you, the Evernotes of the world, rather you do all that hard work and just drop $10 million in your bank account and take it than to try out any idea. There's of course ideas that are great that you are not the only person that thought about it. Trust me. And if you are thinking about it, somebody else is thinking about it. Even what I'm thinking about right now, somebody else has probably done it. Not even just thinking about it. Somebody has done it, but they are not me. They haven't come from where I came from. They haven't worked with the people I worked with. So it is going to be different when I do it. And they also don't know the same people I know. Right? So there's always, if you have an idea, there's 1,000 pizza shops, 1,000,000 pizza shops. You know, there's Domino's, there's Pizza Hut, right? Like you can have the same idea and not worry about people taking it. It's who's gonna work hardest on it. And if that's not you, don't do it. That's the real trick. You can have the best idea in the world. You can put it everywhere. You can post it everywhere. Whoever does the work to make it happen deserves it. And you don't. Just for coming up with an idea, you don't deserve anything. So I like the idea of the hot dog Uber. I gotta change the name from Uber. So change Uber. And what I can do is I can use a hot dog Uber idea as the way I explain everything in the book, but also how I explain everything in my academy. All right, that's good. That's a good thought that came live here. So all right, so how do I know it's a good idea? So that could be another thing where I say, okay, here's another plug, really. After that section, how to start. All right, ideas take time and money. Unfortunately, at this time is writing, speaking, typing in this book, the current system mostly rewards people with money. So this is venture capital. I do believe there's going to be a movement towards cooperatives where you can say, okay, I have an idea. Let me bring 3 people in, 5 people in, and we're all going to work together on this idea and grow it, instead of going for venture capital to hire 4 more people and keep as much of the equity yourself. And for the venture capitalists, you would spread that equity amongst the people working with you on the idea, and then the people that you bring in to grow the idea. I hope that is what happens. We'll see. So right now, currently, that's the case. Maybe I will write a sentence here about co-ops. Add a sentence about co-ops being the future. Another thing. I've had a great meeting this week. Glad I thought of this. Crowdfunding, right? So venture capital is right now the best way. I believe after venture capital, the middleman between cooperative and venture capital will be crowdfunding. So crowdfunding are platforms like Republic. All right, so I'll put Republic, and I'm not gonna say. You know what? I'm gonna say it. True Crowd, which we have begun. Actually, we're working with both. Metabronx, we're working with Republic. True Crowd. I just had a conversation with True Crowd yesterday. What True Crowd does and Republic does is, if you have a great idea and you have, it's not totally free though. You have to have some money, but what they do is they put you on a platform where many thousands of people can see your idea and invest as little as $1 in your idea. So Obama passed a law called the Jobs Act. And in the Jobs Act, there was this, I think it was called Title 2 and 3. They allow people to now be investors without being accredited investors. So an accredited investor, and of course, this is all courses. An accredited investor means you are worth a certain amount of money, and it's a lot. It means like you have to be worth over $1 million a year or make over 250,000 a year, something like that, right? So a lot of people are. That's pretty much really close to 1%er. You have to be a 1%er to be an investor, basically. And the Obama Jobs Act said that's not fair, and it's not fair. So they allowed companies to go on crowdfunding platforms and raise up to $1 million a year. Sounds good. The problem is you need crowdfunding platforms to do that. And the crowdfunding platforms, of course, right now, there's so many people trying to get involved with this that the crowdfunding platforms have to be very selective on who they choose. They have a criteria. They also have some costs. There's legal costs to setting up the paperwork. There's marketing money, right? Because just being listed there doesn't mean millions of people see the idea. You have to market people, bring people to the idea to let them, know about it and work on it and want to work on it. Well, I mean, invest in it. So I've been having a conversation for about a month and a half with a group of people that think the same way I do. Black and brown people normally don't get investment at the clip of their counterparts. Women are in there as well. So how can we change that? The easiest way to change that is to allow hundreds of thousands, millions of people to be able to invest. The same way you're willing to invest in the stock market right now and invest in Amazon, this and that, you could be investing in the next Black Twitter or the next whatever, next Tesla that's by a Hispanic kid in Watts, whatever it is, right? So right now, the way that would work is you have to go to venture capitalists and hope they like you as a person and give you this money. And there's more to that. And of course, when I break down the venture capital area, I will get into all the stuff you need to know for that. But crowdfunding right now, there's companies raising millions and millions of dollars. And so the crowdfunding platforms are I forgot it. There's definitely Republic, True Crowd, and there's another one, a big one. I can't remember. Let me just search it. The most popular one is called hold on. There's GoFundMe is kind of one too, but it's more for things. It's more for like death and stuff like that. That's where I think about it. Kickstarter and Indiegogo are the big crowdfunding platforms that came out first. The difference with those are you don't give equity to the people who gave you money in those. You give them a product. They are your first customers. Whereas Republic and True Crowd, these people are your investors. You're giving them equity in the business just like you would be getting stock in Microsoft if you bought stock in Microsoft. So there's a clear difference in how it works. And again, a good reason to break that down, actually. Crowdfunding, equity, and non-equity. So non-equity would be Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And again, I've spoken to both these companies about how we can work with them for like the Meta Bronx. I had a very good contact with Indiegogo. I wonder if he's still there. It was a while ago. But the idea of using both of these is a great one, because the big thing about the best investment is your first customer. That's always, if you can bootstrap it and get people to buy, that's what you want to do every time. The problem is certain ideas don't really allow that because it's so cash upfront needing that you need to figure out how to get investors involved or more people, family and friends, whatever it is. So Kickstarter, what that started to do at first, they were one of the first big ones, is they said, okay, you need $100,000 to produce 20 of these, right? Whatever it is, 20 of these to prototype and sell. Let's do the math better. Let's say 500 of these. So you need 100,000 to create 500. That means if you sell the first 500 for, I believe it's $200. Is that math right? 500 times 200. It's 100,000. Bam. If you sell 500 of these for $200, you would have funded this first run. So Kickstarter, you would go on Kickstarter, you would say, hey, because right now I'm trying to get this built, I'm going to give this away at $200. When it goes live in the market, it's going to be $500. So if you buy it right now, you will be able to get this product for $200 at a huge savings. So what happens is, if you are able to raise that 100,000, they basically pay for your first run. The difference between equity crowdfunding and non-equity crowdfunding is, if you give this person $200 in equity crowdfunding, you basically take $200 worth of stock in that company. You don't get a product. So the difference is, in one, you're basically their first customer, and in another, you're one of their first investors. So that's where, equity and non-equity crowdfunding, it's important to understand the distinction and maybe use it. But the problem with non-equity crowdfunding is that it's not great for services or apps and stuff like that. So far that I've seen, I have to go back in and look at Kickstarter. It's been a while since I looked. But equity crowdfunding is, because people are investing in the future, not in a product right now. So for instance, like I saw a guy that created this like futuristic cooler, and he wanted to raise, I think it was like $1 million on Kickstarter to do his first run. He raised like $100 million on Kickstarter. So many people wanted it that he flew out of the park with his idea. So that's where I think more physical products, when I think non-equity crowdfunding. But I have to look at that. Maybe there are new things. So I'll talk about here in the book non-equity and equity, and I'll give examples. And I'll give examples of the hot dog idea, right? So maybe, and again, I'm talking this out so I can transcribe it for the book, right? So another thing, you don't have to write your book. You can talk it. And a lot of these big guys that do speeches and stuff, that's how they do it. And I did not know that, and I'm glad I do now. So if I say hot dog idea, hot dog Uber, which we're going to change the name, if you wanted to crowdfund maybe what we would do is say your first 25 hot dogs you get for free if you pay $100 right now, right? And if we get 1,000 people to pay $100 right now, we raise $100,000 instead of going to venture capitalists, right? So, or I can say, give me $100 and you get a convertible note in my business through equity, which means a convertible note. We spoke about it. I spoke about it in like another of the book shows. A convertible note just means this is not valued yet at any specific number. So you can't own a percent of the business based on that $100 yet. You are just putting that $100 into the pot. And once we set how much each stock is worth, you will buy $100 worth of that stock. And then as it grows, just like any stock, your money becomes more valuable. So right now, if I think about it and I take the idea of each one of these funding options in the book and I say, all right, for friends and family, the first part, and I hope I did that. Did I do it? All right, missing a part in the book I need, or maybe it just needs to go higher. Yeah, all right. So here I'm in a good point of this. I need to figure out if I should put how you fund the idea before how you know how much you need to fund the idea. So I think what I'm about to do, and this is good, is I'm going to move the idea stuff ahead of the funding stuff. So, okay, funding options. All right, so I'm going to move all this. Low this. All right, so if we're going to go there, let's go there. Half hour left. All right, so I'm going to push all the funding stuff to the last part of the book, I think. Yeah, that makes more sense because it's hard to know how much you need if you don't know what you're building. So let's go there. What if, okay, what are you creating this idea for? So this starts to get into the why, right? There's a great book, another thing I'm going to plug, Start With Why. I may have plugged it in other places in the book, but everything you do, you want to make sure you are doing it because you understand why you're doing it. Because sometimes it gets to the point where you don't remember why you're doing it. And I'm in that position all the time. I'm working on so many different things, and it's like, why am I doing this one again? Maybe I should drop this, right? And then I got to come back to it like, no, okay, I remember now the why of that. And it always has to lead back to my ultimate why, right? Like, why am I even writing this book? My ultimate why is I want to say, if you have an idea, I want to be a person or the person that helps you to make that idea happen. And I'm going to use innovative thinking to make that happen. So that's why I like tech ideas and stuff, super scalable, innovative ideas. But at the core of what I want to do, my true why is I want to help as many people with ideas make them happen. If I can use innovation while I do that, that's gravy. But that's really my true why. So in your idea, but that doesn't mean every single idea I'm working on is that, right? It just means it gives me fuel to make that original idea happen. So for this, though, this book definitely has to be on par with my why. So when you create your whatever it is, you have to make sure the why connects with you enough to motivate you to keep going. Because if you don't, you're going to give up. This is hard work, man. Like all this stuff is super hard. So if you don't have that connection, it's going to be tough. So, all right. So in here, I have the MVP, personas. So here I took a course on product management. So in here, I'm trying to mix how you should think about creating the idea with what you need to create it. So the beginning of it is, who are you creating it for? You never want to create an idea for everybody. Everybody says, oh, you come out, and let's say hot dog idea, hot dog, Uber. Who am I creating that for? Of course, people are going to say, oh, that's for everybody, but not in the beginning. It can't be for everybody in the beginning because you don't have enough money to target everybody. So I got to say right now, Hot Dog Uber is for New Yorkers in the pandemic. This is just because this is when it's happening. But right now, if I said, okay, people are hungry, if I told them right now you can order a hot dog, safe, it'll come to you, and it's affordable, would you do it? Sure. Whatever. So I'm saying, who's most likely to buy the hot dog? I gotta look down to the individual. Not, I think Hispanics will buy more hot dogs than white people or black people. No, I gotta say, I think Hispanics age 27 through 35 males are more likely to buy hot dogs. I got to make that guess. And of course, you can do studies, you can look up data and stuff like that and figure out what is the best target. So I say that's one of my personas. Hispanic male, 27 to 35, lives in New York. One persona. Second persona, I would say, I'm trying to think about anytime I went to Grace Papaya or any place that has hot dogs, who's in line? Asian male, 35 to 42, live in New York. And of course, because you want to have, I'll say white women, 22 to 28. That one was a guess. So now I got three personas, right? So that's who I'm creating the first version for. Okay, so now I say, how do I get as many white women from 22 to 28, Asian men 35 to 42, Hispanic men from 27 to 35 on this app? And how do I make it as easy as possible for them to order a hot dog and get to them and they have a good experience? So now I got to map out what's called a user story for how that would work. So all I'm talking about right now does not mean a line of code. So a lot of people are like, I'm not a techie like you. I can't do. I haven't spoken about coding one thing. So that's a cop out. It's just a way of saying I don't really want to do this work, and it's work. Yeah, Joe. Virtual hot dog. That's gonna be my right now. My for the book, the idea I base all these chapters on. So if you are reading this and you're thinking, I can't do tech, I can't make ideas that use technology, I'm gonna get so deep into the book without even talking about writing a line of code on purpose. Even though I can write code, many people can, you should. But I want to make sure people are not thinking the code is the hindrance, because it's not. You gotta do all this work. And by doing all this work, you are as valuable as the coder, because you are coming up with all this information that you have to hand to a coder for them to accurately code your idea. So a lot of this work does not take code. It takes just your mind. So have these three personas: Hispanic male, Asian male, white woman. Now I come up with a user story. I want, and it's good to give your personas names. So let's say Hispanic male, we'll call him Miguel. Well, actually, we call him Joe because Joe's supporting on the show right now. We're gonna call the Hispanic male Joe. We're gonna call the Asian male John, and we're gonna call the white woman Abigail. Okay, John is hungry. He's at home during the pandemic, and he has the urge for a hot dog. Of course, hot dog shops are closed. There's no carts. He Googles hot dog. I don't know what you would Google. See, so this is where it's at, right? So that's a user story where I say, okay, what do I have to put in Google so when somebody searches, my app comes up, right? So you have to say, okay, if I'm Joe, what would you search if you wanted a hot dog right now on Google? Type it in there for me so I can think of more options if you're still watching. If I was John, hot dog delivery, right? I would say hot dog delivery. I would type that into Google, see what happens. So for me, on the marketing side, I know I have to make hot dog delivery a keyword in my Google search, my search engine optimization. We are talking about an order or me getting one in the physical. No, like if you wanted to order one, you were in your house right now and you got the urge for a hot dog, what would you Google right now in the pandemic because you can't get a hot dog, but you want one? What would you Google? So I just said hot dog delivery. That's pretty, I could see people doing that. Hot dog delivery. Yeah, I guess that's pretty good. We talking about an order. I'm gonna begrudgingly go on one of the apps. So like Uber Eats, right? So that's good. So now we're looking at the competition, right? I haven't wrote a line of code, by the way. Okay, Uber Eats is competition for this idea, right? Because I could just go into Uber Eats and put hot dog, and then I see, right? He say, yeah, Uber Eats. So if I go into Uber Eats, what are the options? Damn, my phone is being used for this. Okay, so let's say I go on Uber Eats and I put in hot dogs. It says whatever random store is open right now in the pandemic and they can deliver. They're gonna charge me $20 total, whatever. So now I know that as an idea, and I say, okay, I gotta be able to beat that price. There's filters for food types in Uber Eats. Yeah, so you can say hot dog, whatever, and then you're basically competing with whoever is a restaurant chain, right? But the way, again, they have a different and a search function. Good stuff. Thank you. There's a cost difference for what they need to sell their hot dog at and what this idea would. Why? So now we come to unit economics. So did I put unit economics here anywhere? Perfect. Unit economics. I got to put that in the... So unit economics means they have a different cost base. They have a store. They're probably paying tens of thousands of dollars a month for that store. So that cost has to be baked into their hot dog. If I got cars that I don't own that are delivering hot dogs and all I'm doing is making a little transaction fee, my cost of a hot dog goes down tremendously, right? So right now, what I have to say is to compete with whoever that is that you're going on Uber Eats and you see that hot dog and that delivery fee, how do I compete with that? How do I get below that price but still remain profitable? Look at the unit economics. Get rid of the store. Get rid of the employees. Instead, share profit with the people that are delivering, right? Give them a machine. Maybe they buy the machine that allows them to make hot dogs in their car. And that's an opportunity to make money. And, so this is where I start to like really think about how to be innovative and make that idea more possible, right? So unit economics is a huge way of doing that. But I've created this user story that helped me think of that right on the spot. I've never thought about this before I did this right now. So, all right, we go back to the hot dog idea. We say, John says hot dog delivery. He doesn't think of Uber Eats. Because Uber Eats is going to be a big problem for this idea, by the way. And I know that. So I got to think, all right, how do I get around Uber Eats? Because everybody knows Uber. Everybody knows Uber Eats. That's the beauty of a good brand. So I got to outbrand them. I'm going to have to figure out how to make sure John doesn't have to search home hot dog delivery, or Joe doesn't go to Uber Eats. I gotta say, all right, how can I get this idea in front of Joe, John, and Abigail before they go on Uber Eats? So that means right now, social media. So right now, you see, I'm creating the story. I need Abigail, John, and Joe to see on social media, get a hot dog right now for $5. Oh shit, $5. All right, let me go on Uber Eats. Oh, it's gonna cost me $20 on Uber Eats. You know what? I'll order on hot dog Uber. Right? So that was the user story. They come across through social media, most likely, an ad or content around getting a hot dog right now to your house for less than $5, whatever. Then they click either download an app or not, right? So that's part of the user story. You have to say, do I need an app? Can I do this through text messaging? Can I do this through a browser? Those are all part of my user story. Then I say, all right, you know what? Imagine I could do this through text messaging. What if I could just text message, yeah, I want 2 hot dogs right now, and you know my address, you know my card, and it comes to my house. $5, easy. That makes it, wouldn't that be easier than going on Uber Eats? Joe, would you do that over Uber Eats? Cheaper? All you got to do is text message and it comes to your house. I think that could be good, right? So then I have to say, all right, that user journey, user story is based on the customer. But what about the organization? What does the organization have to be able to do to give that person that experience, right? So first thing, I already started thinking about it, and we spoke about it, is the text messaging. I have to find the most frictionless way of making that person order. To go to Uber Eats, to search through all that, when all I know, I just want a hot dog. If I can text message hot dog now, of course, I'm sure that's not available. If it is, no, I'm not messing with this idea. I got too many. If I can text hot dog now, 2 hot dogs with sauerkraut, whatever you like, and they say, okay, we'll be there in 20 minutes. And your card gets charged. They know who you are. They know where you live. They don't ask you any other question. How do I make that work? So technology-wise, now I go through the journey of the tech, right? So I say, okay, first thing I got to do is figure out text messaging. So I'm going to come at this like I don't know what I know. So it's going to be hard. I'm going to try to think like if I didn't know this stuff, what would I have to do? First step I would say is, okay, text messaging. What are some text messaging platforms I can use? Maybe I can kind of white label something that exists. And I know, right, I'm saying words that you may not understand. So white label means there's someone who coded the tech already. They made the investment and they coded it, and now they just charge you a monthly fee to use it. And they basically don't show their logo, so it looks like it's your company. And there's a lot of startups that do that at first, where they're just white labeling things that exist to test their specific idea, because what you're testing is not the tech of text messaging. So you don't need to build that from scratch. That would be a huge waste of money to try to build a text message platform from scratch when that is not what you're testing. You're testing, will a person order a hot dog through text messaging? Really, that's at the core of what you're testing. Will they trust me enough, trust the brand I build, to order through this platform? So that's another whole thing. But branding, another thing I need to make a chapter about. And like I said, all this will be transcribed for the book. It's every 5th episode, I'm going to do a transcription episode for my book. So if I say, what do I need to do? So right now, I'm going to shift from what I don't know, what I act like I don't know, to what I do know. There's platforms like Twilio. Twilio is a text messaging platform, which most text message things are built on Twilio. So I would say, all right, I need to find somebody who knows Twilio and say, okay, how can I make a system that allows people to give me their payment information securely, so every time Joe text message hot dog now, I know it's Joe, and I place the order that he has asked for. So that doesn't sound that hard. Of course, there's more to it, because I need to break down for that coder or whoever knows Twilio exactly what I need. So I started by the story, right? I said, I need to be able to capture Joe's credit card or PayPal, whatever's the safest, Venmo, whatever's the safest way of capturing the payment information where I am safe, where the person is safe. Actually, a type of delivery service does exist 50K for reskin, you already know. Ratings matter. Okay, wait. All right, wait. Yeah, filter and a search function. Yes, for sure, but ratings matter. Okay, but what I'm saying is, okay, so you may not know the full idea. The full idea is people riding around in their cars with hot dog machines, and whenever there's an order, they get out the car, whip it up, and take it to the person. And that person's ratings will matter, just like in Uber and Airbnb and all these things, right? Because if the person is coming and they get the order wrong, or it's cold, or it's unsanitary, whatever, they're going to have to get off the platform fast because they're going to kill the company. So how I know these people are clean? So, I mean, it's the same idea with a cart, right? They gotta have gloves. They gotta maybe. So this is part of it, right? So now I'm getting customer feedback. So all of this, I haven't wrote a line of code. The idea is getting very formed, by just speaking to people. But is that registered via Twilio? So good question. You're going on the tech side heavy because you're a tech guy. And I think those are all very specific and good questions. That's a tech question because you would be a guy that would code it. So to me, I would say you could text the star rating after. How did you like your hot dogs? Give a rating from 1 to 5. 4. Why did you put 4? It was a little cold. All right, now we just throw all that into the system and tell the guy, hey, the last person thought it was a little cold. Try to figure out how not to happen. And he texts back, hey, but the guy gave me the wrong address. And it was a 20-floor walk up and the elevator wasn't working. All right, we understand. We're going to respond to the guy. Hey, so this is what the guy said. All through text messaging. No even need for an app, right? So I'm saving thousands and thousands of dollars because I just went from text messaging from an app to text messaging. So here's how I'm going to try to structure all of this. And of course, it's going live. Need the options pre-rendered or running text analysis. Gonna be a bitch. Of course, anything you do is gonna be a bitch. Let's just start there. You can say, I want to create the same piece of shop that exists right there, no tech. That is gonna be a bitch. You can say, I'm gonna buy a house and rent it. That is gonna be a bitch. Anything you do is gonna be a bitch. It's just, are you into it enough to deal with that bitch? And that's kind of where all this stuff is. Entrepreneurship is that. So, Joe, thank you so much. And keep hitting me with these questions if you got time. So, all right. So we got the user journey on the customer side, and now we kind of are creating the we can call it the what do they call it? Product roadmap, right? So product roadmap means what do you need day one? What can you have later, right? So right now, I believe that the simplest MVP, which is minimum viable product, the simplest thing I need to do right now to test this idea is make a text messaging platform that does what I said. Captures, it could be either through third-party payment options, captures data on the person so we know where to deliver it, allows for ratings, and allows for communication between the deliverer and the customer. That's the most right now. That's all I got, right? So what I would do now is I would take that, I would write it all out. So this is another question I get a lot. Should I make an NDA before I start showing it to developers? You can, but it's a waste of time. I don't think it's worth it. Unless you have one that you can use, to waste time getting an NDA when it's just an idea, it's just text on a piece of paper. That is not a great idea. Even I'm giving you an idea right now. I'm putting it on YouTube. I don't care. Somebody does it, cool, high five. I'm not gonna do it. I know I'm not gonna do it. So if you just got a piece of paper and somebody else does all the work, you could try to sue someone, but have fun with that. I think talk to developers. I do this myself. I have many ideas going right now. I take it, I go steps further because I know what I know, and I create a user experience document, which is a wireframe of every scene that happens throughout the journey. So this idea did not need an app, so it doesn't need home screen. What happens once you log in? What happens once you do whatever I need you to do in the app, right? So you have to think of all that when you have an idea like that. For this idea, maybe conveniently it's text message, but I'm gonna make sure I try the idea in every possible way. So next one I will make an app. So I'll say in text message, then I'll make an app version. I'll show you all the pieces you're gonna need for the app. So right now I would take this document, the user story, and show developers and say, okay, what would you need to build me this idea? All right. They could go research. Okay, find Twilio, like Joe just said. Can Twilio do ratings? So someone like Joe would go and research that and say, nah, we won't be able to do this through Twilio. There'll have to be a front, like a web backend that sits on a server, which would be needed anyway. So blah, 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 whatever. Joe comes back. He says, look, I can build this 5K. Make math easy. It could be 10K. It could be 50K. You go and you show as many developers as you can. You get prices. You get questions. You start developing a rapport with different people. And you start seeing how you interact with these people already just off this document. If somebody's being an a-hole to you in the document process, they're going to be an a-hole to you the whole time. So this is a way of you interviewing your potential partner, vendor, whatever, right? So that is a key thing I feel like most people don't do. They say, I have an idea, go to developer, can you do it? If you do all this work, you save yourself a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of heartache in the future from dealing with a-holes, because like I've dealt with a-holes a lot, right? And I've learned how to weed out a-holes early in the process. So one way is to give a document that's not fully finished and thought out and see what they think. How much? Okay, I think, this looks simple. I think $5,000 would be enough, but I'll let you know I need to do some more research. Or, yeah, but what have you thought about this? What about this? Do more work. Which one do you want to work with, right? You're going to want to work with the guy that was more, understanding, reasonable, less, angry, right? So that's a process for you to say, okay, I have something to start. Your idea has been formed. Right now, that was the first version of your idea in your head, right? So now you need to get it to be physically in the world. So now how do you do that? You create this story, this document that says, this is what I want to happen. You may need a technical person like a me or a Joe or whoever to help you with that story on that side, because like I said, there's extra things. But that's where you as a person that's coming up with the idea, you don't need to know everything. You can say, this is what I want to happen, start to finish. Who do I need to make that happen? All right, I need a social media ad person because that's how I'm seeing it's going to get there to the customer. I need a text messaging developer that knows text messaging. I need people that are willing to deliver this thing, right? I need a person that's willing to be in their car with the machine. I need to figure out the machine. Is that a machine that I can get anywhere? Is there a small hot dog machine I can get? Do I even need a hot dog machine? Can I just have like a thing with hot water with hot dogs in it? I don't know. This is just me thinking, literally live. What do I need to make sure this whole thing works? There's the tech side, there's the physical side. So now, okay, show this to the developer. The developer comes back with the price. Let's say the math is 5K. You talk to the ad person. The ad person says, you probably need 5K to advertise this to get it to, let's say with 5K, math easy, this is not true numbers, you're going to get to 100,000 people that click the ad. So in that 100,000, you gotta account for maybe 10%, and that number may be high, actually buy. So let's say 10,000, 10%. So I mean, 10,000. I said whatever. So 1,000 people order hot dogs with $10,000. That would make you, let's say, if each hot dog actually profits you $2, that makes you $2,000 for a $10,000 investment. That is actually very good, though. If you're able to do that, that proves that your model works. And all you have to do is figure out how to keep moving your unit economics down to a way where that $2 scales to 100,000 people, 500,000 people, 1,000,000 people. And that's how you create scalable businesses. You test it out at the smallest level, the MVP, for the cheapest price. You make sure you're testing the true idea. You're not building all this crazy stuff when that's not what the idea is testing. So if I went to a developer and he told me, oh, I got to build you a custom text messaging platform. That was the first developer I go to, and he's like, yeah, it's a custom text messaging platform, going to cost you $50,000. Then I go to another developer, and he's like, oh, no, we can just use Twilio. We use Twilio, and it'll cost you $5,000. So you may not just want to only take that developer's word, though. You go to more developers. And if you see 5, 6 developers are telling you Twilio, then you know, I can probably use Twilio. I don't need to spend $50,000 right now on this text messaging platform because that's not what I'm testing. And I see a lot of that. I see a lot of people building parts of their idea that don't matter as much as the real part of the idea. So if you can figure out how to get the real core idea done with the least amount of proprietary technology, that's going to be the cheapest way to test out your idea without going too deep. Because you can go deep and then figure out this idea is not good. So you just spent $50,000 on a text messaging platform that wasn't even the idea. So this is where I want to start the thought process of how do I start? So right now I just went through this episode was really good for me to take back and transcribe all this and say, how do you get to the price? So maybe how much you need to raise. Maybe that's the chapter title. How do you get to the amount you need to raise? Let me just put that down before I forget it. How do you get to the cost? So the way you get to the cost, just to end this video, is you have to figure out the user story on the user side and then the technology side. Of course, if you're a tech guy, that part comes easy to you, so you can map it out and understand the cost and understand what you can't do and how to get that help. If you are not a tech person, which most people with the ideas are, you can do this without writing a line of code. You are going to have to trust people, though. That's a major part I always see. People don't want to show their idea. I would tell you, do not worry about that. Don't worry about competition. It's going to come. You don't think the day you create the first hot dog app, somebody's not going to say, oh, I like that idea and try to do it. Uber might try to do it and try to cut you out. There's going to be competition. You have to be ready for it and know it's coming and just work on it, right? So I think it's a good place to end it. Know your costs by writing a user story with personas. Maybe you create a different persona, a different story per persona that kind of has different routes to the idea. Like maybe Joe is social media, John is search engine, Abigail is, what else? I don't know. TV, just to make the math easy. And then I say, all right, so I'm going to have to run some TV ads. I'm going to have to run some social media ads, and I'm going to have to do search engine optimization and pay for some search ads. So now that brings my cost to 20 grand. If I want to test this at that level, and I'm hoping to make 5 grand here, 5 grand here, 5 grand here off each test. Again, I'll get into traction and all that in future episodes, but thank you, Joe. Thank you, anyone who watched, and any questions. And also, please give me feedback on which you think is better. Do you think my ideas academy is better or my idea academy is better? And thank you for watching. I'll be back tomorrow.